Hi friends, happy almost Easter. So I don't know what you like to serve in your house on Good Friday morning, but I always like to do a brunch with some quiche and cinnamon buns and a fruit tray and orange juice and all that stuff. Easter's my favorite holiday, I think. So I like that there's 2 days, but one of them's not a shopping day like Boxing Day. So anyways, this recipe, Ooey Gooey cinnamon buns, you can go get it online. My friend Kara Auger is a really, really good baker. And I was like, give me your best cinnamon buns. Because before COVID, I used a bread maker. And then I lost the little piece when we moved. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna master this craft. I also make a really mean pie post-COVID. So the most important thing I feel like starting off your cinnamon buns is 110-degree water. So I use my little thermometer and I make sure I have it just right. Now I am cheating and using bread maker yeast, which means I need 2 scant teaspoons. What does scant mean? I don't really know, like a little bit less. And then a teaspoon of sugar. Why am I using a 1/4 teaspoon? This is really bad. And now I'm gonna set my timer. Actually, I'm gonna whisk it real good. And set my timer for 10 minutes and it's going to double.
See, we're about 6 minutes here and it's foaming up pretty good. Now my yeast expired on the 21st of March, so it's bread maker yeast. But clearly it's doing something, it's pretty good.
Okay, so while our yeast is rising, we are going to warm up 1/2 cup of milk in a saucepan. So I'm just gonna put it on low. And then once it's lukewarm, we're gonna add in a 1/4 cup of butter. I like to cut my butter because that's easier. And a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then we're gonna mix them together. So I like to do this, like when I make cinnamon buns, I try to like go do laundry and like do some dusting or like buzz around the house in a different way. So I find that really helpful because you can't really leave the house because there's so many little things you have to do to bring them together. But it's gonna be magic so soon. So we're making some excellent progress. See, expiry dates are just a recommendation. I found yogurt the other day in the fridge that's been in there since I think it expired December 25th. And I was like, anyways, so adding my sugar and my butter to my lukewarm milk. And then I'm gonna whisk that up here. Show you that. You know, my inspiration is Jennifer Garner. Except she has a team of people to film for her and I just have one little lady, just myself. So it's all whisked up, all done. Now I'm gonna let it cool and then I'm gonna mix it together with this. When you're prepping for Easter, you should always like do whatever you can to really get in the spirit of Easter. Just kidding. Jesus is definitely the reason for the season, but have you tried these purple almond Lindt chocolates? Have you ever put them in MyFitnessPal? Don't do that. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. But Easter is just like the season of hope and promise and chocolate and Jesus, and I'm here for it. Gotta soak up all the sun we can. Okay, so the maximum amount of flour you're gonna use is 4 cups, but what I noticed was if I didn't set those, because you kind of add them slowly, so if I didn't put it all into one container, then I could end up with like 5 or panicking that I had way more flour. So I always put my 4 cups together in there. Maybe not surprising to you, but filming is actually like super distracting and I'm kind of nervous. These buns won't turn out, but whatever. We're giving it our best shot. So mixing these together now. My butter, milk, sugar with my yeast mixture, as well as I'm gonna beat 2 eggs really quickly. I don't have a whisk anywhere. Oh, I lied. I do have a whisk. So we're gonna beat these together. I always said if I joined an MLM, I would definitely join Beachbody or Pampered Chef. In fact, I'm interviewing a Beachbody coach, Sarah Sinan, tonight for the More Jody podcast. So now I'm going to whisk these together. And like I said, I've got my measured flour here. Now, I'm going to slowly add a cup and a half of flour. So this is where I start my flour addition, and I'm just gonna beat it after each addition. Get it so it's cohesive. They say that you can use less, but I just follow it. I get too nervous not to. So I'm gonna add another cup. I definitely used the wrong bowl. I have some regrets about that. This is not gonna go well. Cut the film. Okay, so this is better. So I'm gonna keep adding my flour, basically like 1 cup at a time or half a cup. Fill your boots until it starts to pull together. I'm still using my whisk, which this is why should be wearing I recommend a nightie or wearing an apron. But can't you just picture your mom growing up, like prepping Easter stuff in her like Mickey Mouse nightie or something? It's just so historical. I could wear my Handmaid's Tale nightie, which I bought on Amazon. We just finished The Handmaid's Tale last night. That is the most traumatic series I've ever seen. But it's like a good thing to remember like how far we've come with women's rights and human rights and all that stuff. And you see, it just takes a couple idiots to destroy what we've built. So decided to put on my Handmaid's Tale nightie for y'all. Figured you'd enjoy it. So now we're gonna dump this out, knead it for 8 minutes. Come to think of it, I should have probably put on like a sports bra and workout gear because this kneading gets real intense. Look how white my arms are. Well, not for long because as you saw, it's sunny. We haven't had our, what I like to call first summer on the island yet, unfortunately. I told my parents we were having it in March. It did not happen. So that's too bad. See, I just wanna like, this is like the worst part. This is why people buy cinnamon buns, because it's like, ugh. You guys are never gonna come over and eat this, but honestly, because of COVID, you can't really come over anyway, so who cares? So we got the timer set, oh, I hate this part, for 8 minutes. Dusted our pastry mat. You need a pastry mat if you don't have one. Now, obviously we want to knead with this part here as much as possible. This part like angers me. I don't know why. But now I have my Handmaid's Tale nightie. You know, I'm just in it to win it. I'm like mom of the year. That was so much flour. This dough is just like your life. Like you got to put in the work, okay? Got to put in the work to get what you want, or you'll never get it. Look where you were 5 years ago. How have you progressed mentally, spiritually, physically, or if you have regressed physically because of maybe like an ailment or an autoimmune disorder or something, how has your mindset progressed? How have you fought for yourself? Oh, deep thoughts. You know, this is sort of like a meditative thing. Like you rarely get 8 minutes to yourself to just like think, well, you need this. This is not how you knead dough. But like I said, I'm still new at this. So hold your judgment. Just gonna oil this up, put it in here. Now I heated my oven up a while ago and then I turn it off so that it proofs faster for me, proofs. So I'm gonna put it in my oven to sit on its own for probably an hour, but like I said, my yeast is weird, so I might go a little bit longer. We'll see. Cover it with a warm, damp tea towel. Put it in there. Now remember, my oven is off, it's just warm. Okay, we're back. So this is like a really non-glamorous version of the Grammys where I just keep changing outfits. But post-hike, this is how much it's risen. So it's looking really good. I think you're supposed to knock it down. Well, looks good. I don't know why I love this part so much, but I do. And you're gonna use your mat in general to tell you how big you wanna make it. I just like to go hog wild. One of my new things lately has been, like, I go bigger than I'm sure I should, because clearly I'm already a veteran at this, just kidding. And then I get more swirls inside and more cinnamon and sugar. I don't know, that's just me. Okay, so growing up, I always just used cold butter, but this recipe says to heat up your butter and then just paint it on your dough. Which is kind of annoying, but easier because it doesn't pull the dough. Want it as fattening as possible. And you feel like you don't need a video on this. You just know how to do this. This is obvious. I think you just want tons of everything. There's no scrimping here. They're called Ooey Gooey for a reason. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my cinnamon with my dirty hands. I'm not allowed to use raisins because I'm a married lady and I want to stay married, so that's a very big deal breaker in our house. Then I'm just gonna roll. Roll it, roll it, roll it. Okay, so because I worked so hard here, I get this. If you don't do this, you're making a huge mistake. That's quality checking your food. So now I'm gonna use a serrated knife, ever so gently. I'm gonna cut it into 4. I'm gonna cut my 4 into 3. Okay, so I used the last bit of butter, just mostly at the sides. I'm gonna put an Ooey Gooey mixture here on the bottom, but I also don't want my sides to stick. And I'm gonna break up some pecans because I love adding that element of savory richness that nuts add to these sorts of things. So I'm gonna add this, and right now in my saucepan, I have 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and I don't know, it says to use way more butter. If you're making this, you need to look up the Ooey Gooey cinnamon bun recipe and watch the video because I don't want you to make it wrong, and you probably should print it and then make your own notes on it. But it calls for way more butter on the bottom, and I don't know, by this point, I'm like picturing all the other things we're gonna have at Easter, and I'm like, no, it's okay, I can cut back a little bit. So I'm gonna do a little bit less. Okay, so we got our Ooey Gooey mixture. Just spreading that out on the bottom of the pan. So now we're just gonna let these raise again in my oven that's just like slightly warm, and then we'll bake them up 25 minutes at 350. Check these beauties out. Now I'm gonna let them sit for 3 minutes, and I'm gonna tip them upside down, put them in tin foil. They're ready for Easter. These look amazing. I hope that yours turn out just this beautiful. Happy Easter!